good. Hi everyone, it's Chelsea Fox, and wow, I am doing a commentary speed paint. I have not done one of these in almost 2 years. So today I thought I would kind of combine together the streams I did recently, talking about and designing if my OC or iteration of myself was in the show Miraculous Ladybug. There is a lot of hype around the show at the minute, especially season 6, so I thought I'd kind of jump on the train and kind of show what it kind of looked like. So, about the show itself, I got into the show many years ago, around the time when season 1 was like brand new. I was that much of a fan. Well, not much of a fan, more so I was around when it first started. And I quite liked the show, to be honest. I liked the concept of, I don't know, I just always liked the concept of characters and heroes being themed after animals. For example, I used to like the Power Rangers and all that stuff, or Precure series that have their theme around animals, so, and it's kind of like I thought this would be a good show for me. Okay, so when it comes to what I'm going to be drawing, I'm drawing 2 drawings actually. It is quite ambitious, but I am doing, it will be only fair if I drew myself or my character both in her hero form, if she were to have one of the Kwamis, what she have and what would her name be, what her outfit would look like, and as well as a civilian outfit. Again, quite ambitious because I haven't drawn anything at this scale in almost forever. If anything, this all kind of started because me and a few other friends in my Discord group, we were talking about Miraculous Ladybug, and if we did like a small RP thing to it, and we were like, oh, what sort of Miraculouses would we each other have? Automatically, for me, it was down to 2, the Ladybug and the Fox. I didn't necessarily want to choose the Fox at first because I didn't want it to be too predictable. So I kind of decided, I might try other options, but the more I looked at the other options, I wasn't really getting anything, which was quite unfortunate. So, and obviously with the Ladybug, there's a heck of a lot of responsibility to basically solve everything, and Ladybug, she is rather OP, almost nothing can stop her most of the time, and I didn't want to feed into that, so I decided, I'll bite the bullet and hit the Fox Miraculous, simply because it was also my favourite in the show. And another funny comment that one of my friends made was that they wouldn't expect me to have earrings, which is so true. So automatically it kind of meant, okay, well, I'll wear a nice little pendant instead. So in terms of what my character is obviously the same, Chelsea Fox, or I guess the rendition of my character. I've had 2 in the past. Obviously, I've had Chelsea Redwood, which is a separate character for a different show entirely, which has been in the works for many years now. Separate video on how I'm explaining about it, possibly, who knows. And then there is also the my new, I guess, main persona called Chelsea Amber Hyde. In this case, I went for her. She is very grounded, she's very down to earth. In fact, the first interaction she had in the small RP that we did, she bumped into 2 of the characters, and she just acted as if like it was no big deal, immediately shrugged it off, which doesn't sound that crazy, but then when they got to class, she had just bumped into this person, and yet she was covering for them, even telling a little white lie. And that was kind of feeding into like a whole, I guess, cunning and sly side of being a fox. Something about her character, which I like to think about, is that she is actually Chelsea Fox, aka the persona I go as on YouTube, online, and on Twitch, and she's actually a streamer who does art content, gaming content, and all those sorts of things. Basically, what I do. So she is quite popular, but she isn't like well known. You know, it's like the whole thing. It's like you have to try and match a voice to a face, something like that. Match a face to a voice to a face, anything like that. So people really know her as just Chelsea Ann Hyde. Some people, only a few select who will recognize her as Chelsea Fox. Her, I guess, style is very reminiscent of how, like, I guess my character, like, I would look like. Except one of the main things is that in my, I guess, Chelsea Fox design for Twitch, my character, she has shorts. Almost in every rendition, my character's either worn like trousers or shorts. In this version, she wears a skirt. I thought it'd be kind of interesting to dive more into my feminine side with this character. So I kind of take a risk with that, and that adds in really nice. You'll see later on the drawing, but I did some like Argyle themed tights, which I think is very pretty, especially paired with like the trainers I gave her. For her Miraculous, when it's in camouflage mode, I gave her a paw print necklace, a pendant, and obviously when she transforms, which we're going to do right now, when she transforms, obviously the pendant will turn back to normal. So, speaking of transforming, my superhero self, I would have the Fox Miraculous, and I think my character would just be the sort of person to where she couldn't really decide on a name that much, so she was mainly more focused on learning about and trying to help the town rather than a name. So since obviously the crime is called Tricks, she would think of this closest thing to, you know, basically what's given her powers, aka, so she would come up with the name Vix, so short for Vixen. She isn't exactly the sort of person to like think of something so, I guess, complicated and so like, I guess, lengthy. Something short and sweet rolls off the tongue, and it has quite a nice kick to it, ring to it. So for Vix's design, I took inspiration sort of from Reign of Rouge, from the canon show, of which aka is just Alia, where when she transforms, her hair turns more into a gradient, which you'll see later on in the drawing as well. So in terms of like what pose I gave, the drawing I'm doing right now, I like to think this is the pose she ends up in when she's finished transforming, and I like to think that when she's done transforming, she has the flute behind her back in one hand, and she's doing a peace sign, to not only to like show that she's quite grounded, but to show that the V is like, you know, when you hold up your two fingers to do a peace sign, it kind of makes a V shape. So the V is to kind of represent the V for Vix. Right. So with the design itself, I wanted to do some quite, almost kind of like tomboyish, edgy, kind of athletic side. Since, you know, you're supposed to be a miraculous hero, you're supposed to conceal your identity. And I think this sort of side, she looks really cool, I can't lie. When it comes to what I decided to do for the tail, I couldn't say I wanted to do it first, so instead I kind of did a little belt sash thing and had two tails represent that. I remember for the design, I remember I gave her a fur collar, since I believe in the original Fox designs of the heroes they didn't show much fur, which I was like, why did you not show much fur? Foxes are so fluffy and adorable. So I gave her a fur collar. And then also for her gloves, on the insides of them, I gave her little like paw pads, which I thought was quite cute. So it's kind of like, she has a sort of, I guess, a cinnamon roll for us. Like, she looks all cute and everything, but you do not want to mess with her. Do not mess with Vix. And obviously she's getting her flute. When I think of how she uses it, I think she uses it as well like a baton, like a majorette staff, opposed to so, because when I noticed when Rena was fighting with it, she always uses like more of like a blunt weapon. And since I have a history in baton twirling, I think it'd be really cool to like kind of go back to my roots a little bit. Obviously I guess give her Miraculous and all that. So yeah. Okay, now for the fun part. Now onto the line art, which I'll get to in a minute. Oh, actually never mind, I forgot. I was just adding small details onto the writing. I don't know why, I forgot why I did this. Whilst this is happening, I can kind of explain a little bit about, I guess I want to kind of talk about how thankful I am of where I've been able to get since I started Twitch, and since I've kind of started, like, I guess my community. It has gone exceptionally well, and the support is honestly overwhelming, and I cannot thank everyone enough for their support. I do think I'll stay on Twitch more than I will stay on YouTube, but I just thought, you know what, just do what feels right, you know. I believe the next portion is kind of sped up, so I'll explain a bit about the colouring process. So when I think of, I guess, God, yeah, sorry. So when I came to the colouring, I wanted the colour scheme for the civilian form at least, to kind of be colours I wouldn't typically pair together. So obviously there's more like darker autumn tones, and she's very full themed and all that. She's very full themed and such, which is very, very nice. She has a beanie on. Something about my characters, she's always wore a beanie. I don't know if people really notice that, but I think it's a nice little touch that might just, I don't know why I have a beanie on so much. I think it's because my character has naturally always been kind of tomboyish rather than completely girly. So I think that might be why. Don't like hold me accountable to that though. So yeah, as you can see, we're getting to the line art. I changed the shoes slightly, so I kind of get little bows and all that. I forgot to give her bracelets. So when I do the colouring, I kind of do like a base colour. First have like an idea, and then I go into it in with the actual colours. I don't really like, I would say I'm definitely more proud of the line art for this one. I kind of made a few changes and stuff like that. I did fluff around the arms, like the forearms as well. Okay, now onto the colouring, which is probably the part I'm most proud about. So I gave her an orange jacket, and obviously Lila, she already has an orange jacket in the kind of show, and I thought the outfit sounded look a bit too much like her, so I thought it just kind of like a silly little like homage, because obviously Lila is lying about almost completely who she is. And you'll see in the Vix colouring that I kind of made the colours more muted. I feel like it would fit my character better than having like just vibrant oranges. So now, as you can see here outside in the argyle behind the tights, first I'm doing so hopefully did okay. And I might sound like I'm rambling a lot in the last, I guess, bit or so. Again, I haven't done this in a long time, so just bear with me. Overall, I hope everyone had fun watching this, so make sure you subscribe to the channel, and let me know what you think of Vix.